Hey, it's Anita, and this is the Anita Posch Show. Hello everybody, welcome to the Anita Posch Show, where it is my pleasure to keep you up to date with topics around Bitcoin on a global stage and also the local impact it has on people like you and me. My guest today is Franco Amati. Franco is the founder of Bitcoin Argentina and also a member of the team at laBitconf, which is the biggest Bitcoin conference in Latin America. And we're going to talk about the situation in Argentina and how Bitcoin is supporting the people of Argentina in their financial business and money situation. And before we start, I also wanted to tell you about something new. You can now listen to this podcast inside the Sphinx chat app and also in the Breeze app. Breeze is a Bitcoin wallet and also a podcast player, which is quite new and exciting. And you can now listen to podcasts and at the same time stream Satoshis to me, the content creator. This is a great model for the future, using uncensorable money to pay for an uncensorable medium. You don't need to pay, it's voluntarily, you pay value for value. So basically, what you take out, you can donate or you pay the content producer. Would be great if you try it out. The Breeze app is basically very easy to install and to use, and I'm looking forward to meet you in one of those apps. And now, before we start with the interview, a short message from my sponsors, and then on to the show. Enjoy! Many people worry about the right storage for their Bitcoin. And yes, holding them isn't always easy. The safest way is offline, physically. That's why Coinfinity developed the card wallet, the professional and easy solution. Order it now at cardwallet.com/Anita and get 20% off. Do you want to stay up to date with the things that happen in Bitcoin from my point of view? Then subscribe to Anita's Weekly, my newsletter with articles, videos, quotes, short tips on how to use Bitcoin and all that for free. Subscribe to Anita's Weekly at anita.link/weekly. Hello, Franco Amati. Welcome to the Anita Posch Show. Glad to have you.
Hi, Anita. How are you? Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm fine, thanks. You're so welcome. I was looking forward to this interview because I got to know you last year at the Global Bitcoin Meetup, where Bitcoin Argentina and Bitcoin Austria were also presenting.
Yes, I remember. I did a presentation about the situation in Argentina, something like that.
Exactly, and that's also what we're going to talk about today. But before, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay, well, I'm a Bitcoiner. I like to say I'm just a Bitcoiner. I'm someone that is using Bitcoin for the last decade. I began with some friends. We started the community here, doing meetups in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And when the meetups get bigger and bigger, then we made an association, and I have been in some startups in the matter and things like that. But I like to say I'm just a Bitcoiner, someone that uses Bitcoin daily for many things, and we will talk about some of these things, I believe.
Exactly, but what have you done before you discovered Bitcoin?
Before discovering Bitcoin, I was a system administration in a company, managing servers and things like that. And so, when I knew Bitcoin, it was very interesting to me because of different things. I always liked cryptography. I didn't use it much in my daily life, but I like how it worked, things like that, PGP, to cipher messages, emails. So Bitcoin used some of that and use it in a particular way, different from what I was used to. So it was interesting, and also was interesting from an economical and political side of things, because if that was going to be used in the future for many people, it could change some things, especially in Argentina, where you have capital controls, you can send money abroad. If you receive money from abroad, well, we will talk about that also, it's very difficult, so this helps a lot. So it was interesting from many sides, from the technology and political economic.
Mm-hmm. And when and how did you hear about it the first time?
I'm not really sure. I know that it was before the first bull run in 2011. Bitcoin went there to $33. I was in that bull run. I knew Bitcoin there, but I don't know really the first time I listened about it. I believe it was in a website called slashdot.org. That is a website where you have news about technology and science, and I believe someday it did appear there about Bitcoin, and I read it, but I would love to know, but I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm. But did you just say you were in the bull run at $3?
I was in the bull run. After the bull run, $33 it was, and I bought 2 Bitcoins there, and then Bitcoin went to $2. So it was really invest, but for a few times, maybe for a year and a half, it was very bad because it was not even break even. So I had to wait for a year and a half to be break even in the invest. And then it was better, okay, and I started using Bitcoin more. But I bought 2 Bitcoins just to play and to know how it was to send, to receive, and I didn't want it to try testnet. And in that time, Bitcoin was cheap, so I bought 2 for that, just for testing. And when it worked, it was interesting to have. And when the community, when Bitcoin started to be more new, I was starting to do the meetups and everything, and when I tried to be everything, I tried my work to be in Bitcoin, and in 2013 I started to be an informal local broker, the ones that are local Bitcoins, for example. In those days, local Bitcoins accepted cash also. So we did operations in cash in Argentina and Buenos Aires, and I went to a place and I bought Bitcoins and I sold those Bitcoins to other people in the community, and I was there doing buying and selling because there were no other way to buy or sell Bitcoins in Argentina. There were no exchanges in those days. So I was one of the first. There were many fast that were doing informal exchanges, and then the thing got bigger and bigger, more people got into it. We have now had more than 10 exchanges of Bitcoin in Argentina, so there's a lot. And I stopped doing that many years ago, but it was my first Bitcoin related work.
Mm-hmm. And in your bio, I think it also says that you're also a member of the team from laBitconf. When was the first laBitconf conference?
laBitconf is the biggest conference in the topic in Latin America, and the first one was in Buenos Aires because we were in Buenos Aires, so it was logically the first one, and it was in 2013. In the end of 2013, it was when Bitcoin got to $1,000. It was the first time Bitcoin got to 1,000. And in those days, we were having the conference, so it was a big moment for Bitcoin and for us for having the conference in those days. So it was great having that. Then we changed from other countries. We made it in Mexico, in Brazil, in Chile, in Uruguay, and many others. We will see. It's once a year. We will see if in the future, if the pandemic stops a little, maybe we will get back to doing the conference and everything.
What's the next country that's planned? I didn't hear everything. Maybe you said it.
No, we were wanting to do it in Guatemala, but then the pandemic arrived, and we do it digitally online. But we hope to do it in person in Guatemala, but not sure it will be this year, maybe the next one.
Okay, yeah. So now let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin in Argentina, and maybe you can start with the general situation in Argentina, because I think the way you people have to handle financial infrastructure is quite difficult. Can you explain us how the banking system basically works or does not work in Argentina?
Yes, of course. Yes, the situation is, for example, we have Argentinian pesos here. We have an inflation of 50% annual inflation in Argentinian pesos, 50%. Also, you are not allowed to buy money from abroad. You are not allowed to buy dollars or euros or something like that. Only a few, very, very few people are allowed to buy $200 per month, but only few. I can do that, and most people are not allowed to do that. I believe it's more like less than 5% of people are allowed to buy only $200. In euros, a little less. It's $200 always, and in other currency, it's less than that. It's the same, that's 200. So it will be, I don't know in euros, but 100 and something. Also, the other situation we have is that if we receive money from abroad, for example, someone send us 100 euros to someone in Argentina, to a bank account in Argentina, you have a confiscation of 40% these days. And you don't receive the euros, you receive Argentinian pesos. Even if you send me euros, my bank account is forced by the government to give me Argentinian pesos. Okay, and those Argentinian pesos are with a more or less 40% of discount. Why? This is the very important thing. Why this is happening? Because it's not really a tax. What we have is that the government says that the currency rate between dollars or euros and Argentinian pesos is the one that the government says. Okay. But that's not really true. When you go to Google, for example, and you change dollars to Argentinian pesos, it will give you the official rate, the government rate. Okay, but that is not the real rate that happens in the market. If you exchange with me in the streets or something, you will get a far better rate. Okay, what the government is doing is by using a fake rate, they get a cut of your money that is received. Okay, so a lot of people are trying to use some other things to receive money from abroad, and the government tried to stop those things from happening. So the money that comes from outside, for example, from people that export things or something like that, is less. So that's the situation, and Bitcoin starts being used there. For example, in some works, yesterday in newspaper put a notice about how software developers were using a lot of Bitcoin, because if you work for a company from abroad, not from Argentina, and if you want to receive the money they pay you, you don't want that 40% discount in the price of Argentinian pesos and dollars. So we try to use another thing, and many software developers are starting, because software developers are more friendly, Bitcoin is more friendly to them because they are technology guys and girls. So are some part of the people that using Bitcoin. Most people from abroad believe that Bitcoin is used a lot here because of inflation, but that's not really the case. We have inflation, we are used to having inflation, and we can buy dollars, even if it's illegal. We can buy dollars, euros, and everything. We have these places called cuevas that they are illegal, but they happen, and you go there with Argentinian pesos, and they give you dollars or euros, and the other thing. So we can get out of inflation by using these places, these informal, technically illegal places, okay? But when you receive money from abroad, you can do that because you can use cash with money from abroad. So that's the thing, and many people are using Bitcoin and or also other things that even more difficult from Bitcoin. For example, before Bitcoin, many companies were used to do this. Follow me here. There are some companies in Argentina that are traded. The stocks are traded in Buenos Aires, okay, in the Merval, the local stock exchange, and some of those companies are also traded in the New York Stock Exchange. So before Bitcoin, many companies what were doing, and still many are still doing that because it has a bigger volume and more liquidity. What they doing was buying stocks in New York and selling those stocks in Argentina. So that way they jump the capital controls by buying stock in USA and selling in Argentina, and they're not interested in the stock, okay? They're just interested in get money to Argentina in a legal way, but without the 40% cut. So they do that. Of course, many people started doing the same with Bitcoin. They buy Bitcoin abroad and they sell it in Argentina locally, jumping the 40% cut. So I believe in Bitcoin, one of the more important cases here is that not inflation. It could be some, but the most important for me is capital controls. And it's not only from receiving money. Also, you can send money to abroad without special permission, and it's not easy to get that permission. So it's better for me. For example, I have a bank account in Germany, N26 digital bank. And if I want to send money there, what I do is buy Bitcoin here, sell it in Kraken or Bitstamp, and from Kraken or Bitstamp send that money with SEPA to the bank account in Germany. Because sending from a local bank account in Argentina to Germany is mostly impossible. Okay, so it's been used for those kind of things to move money inside and outside for Argentina without that special cut. Of course, some people can use this, but for example, people that are selling goods or guess you can do that because they are a physical thing. But things that you have a service, an online service, things like that you can. There's no physical goods. It's better because you can use these alternatives.
It's very interesting and hard to believe. I mean, the idea that you can't exchange money. I mean, how do people like you go abroad on holidays if you can't change money before you go?
Important thing. You don't really can. You have to go to the informal market illegally, or buy those $200 or use credit cards. By cash, you can go with cash. If you have the cash, you can. It's not that in the frontier it says okay you can go with cash. If you have the cash, you can go. You can use it, but you can buy more cash from abroad here locally. You have to find it another way. Mm-hmm. It's more that the government knows all this stuff, of course. Okay.
Do you also have?
It's something known. It's not that, but it's like this.
It's like it is, yeah. And do you also have limits? Like you are only allowed to cash out like $300 a month from your own account in the country?
No, if you have pesos, you can only have $200 per month if you have a special permission. You have to have a work in Argentina legally more than there's special conditions that very few people have those conditions. And if you have money in your bank account in dollars, you are still can you are for the moment you can get it outside the bank. So not many people have the dollars in bank accounts these days because they are afraid that something may happen from one of these days. But the government is still allowing you to have dollars in the bank account. You can, but you can only buy 200, but you can have them in a bank account.
But with 50% inflation, how then do you save money?
By buying dollars and everything in the legal market, not in the market, not in the official
and
way.
having it under your mattress.
Yes, the many people
and having it at home under your mattress.
Because of security issues, there are many places, even the banks, where you have a vault or some place, a safe box. In the banks, all the banks have safe boxes, and those safe boxes are always full because all people are storing cash in the banks, but in the safe boxes, safe deposit box, not in the bank accounts. Okay, and we even have other places that are not are not called banks. That are just places where you have safety deposit box, and that's it. And you store cash in those places. You can store, and nobody knows what you store, but if you go there, we will believe that most of the things that are stored there are cash. It's crazy. For someone from Europe, it might be a little crazy to store cash in a place physically, in a vault, and that's it. But it happens a lot here because of these things.
For a Bitcoiner like me, it doesn't sound so crazy, actually. Because if you are self-storaging your keys, then it's actually a perfect situation. But aren't you scared then that the safety deposit boxes in the banks, for instance, that they could be confiscated by the government?
Exactly. There's always the rumor or something that, okay, the government next month is going to do that, and people go there and take the cash out. But I still believe that it will be too much for the people to do nothing if that happens. Okay, I believe the government knows that doing that will be, it's even too much for Argentina. Going to the safe deposit box and forcing the people to open the safe deposit box, I believe it's too much, but many people are still afraid that may happen. I don't know, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it happens, I believe it will be crazy because many people will start to reveal about that kind of things. But we never know.
I think in your presentation you were telling us that there are a lot of local Bitcoin exchanges, like websites, online exchanges in Argentina. Is that true?
Yes, in legal established exchange, we have more than 10 of those. And we also have many people that exchange informally Bitcoin for dollars and that kind of thing. We have three things. We have first the legally established exchanges. For example, a local Coinbase. We don't have Coinbase. I'm using Coinbase as an example to explain. We have other companies here, but you have things like Coinbase where you buy and sell Bitcoin with your local account. Okay, we have more than 10 of those. We also have peer-to-peer operations, P2P operations, using bank accounts, using, for example, local Bitcoins, using Binance peer-to-peer, and using Paxful and other companies. In those, you exchange with another guy using both the bank account of one of them, and the company is not really there. It's just to know two people and using bank account. That's also happening a lot. That's getting really big in Argentina. Using bank accounts locally to exchange Bitcoin, but the government doesn't know that there's a Bitcoin exchange because it's just a transfer. Local transfer from one to other, and it doesn't know why that transfer happened, but in the other way there's Bitcoin going there. This is very popular, and there's a third way that is the cash, informal cash brokers. This place is called Cuevas, where you can go and exchange Bitcoin for dollars in cash and that's or pesos in cash. So we have these three things. All of them are more or less popular.
Interesting. So you have basically a tradition of black markets, like where people exchange money. I mean, I don't know that from Austria. I think we don't have that here. I know it from Zimbabwe, where a friend of mine, she's meeting her local trader, like in front of on a parking lot, and there they are exchanging money. But I've never done this here in Austria. So I mean, so basically the situation in Argentina for the people is made for Bitcoin in a way, because you use it like that.
Yes, we try to use everything like that, and we use cash a lot. For example, another thing that's a really interesting example is if you sell a house or an apartment or something like that, most of those exchange operations, are done in cash in Argentina. It's a lot of money. It's a house, but you do it in cash. And mostly what you do is you rent a room in a bank, when a security place, or one of these places that have safe deposit boxes also have rooms and meeting rooms. And when you sell a house, what you do is rent one of those rooms. The two people go to the room, they exchange the dollars, they sign the paper, saying the house is now mine, okay, the contract, and the money stays in the safe deposit box there because of security issues. So what they do is rent places to exchange the dollars physically. In fact, I had an example that I said the last week in Twitter. Now, from a guy he contacted me because he knew me from other things, and he knew that I was in Bitcoin, and he was going to live to Chile. He's from Argentina. He went to Chile, so he sell the two houses he has here, and he had the money, and he wanted to send it to Chile, where he was going to live in a few weeks. And he tried to do that, but the bank, he put some of those dollars in the bank. When he wanted to do a transfer, they told him, because it's not, this is crazy, but it's not really blocked to send the money, but for individuals. But if you try to send it and the amount is big, they will ask you for a special permission to go to the central bank and ask for a special permission to do the international wire. And many people are afraid to do that, because if you do that, maybe the government will try to investigate everything about you and those kind of things. So many people say no, just do it in another way. And this guy is what he did was buy bitcoins in Argentina and sell them in Chile. He bought the bitcoins in Argentina using the cash, and in Chile it was sell in exchange to a bank account in Chile. He had all the papers and everything, so it was okay. And he did that. It was crazy to do that with Bitcoin maybe, but it was the easiest way for him, for not doing the bureaucracy and the special permissions, and maybe something could happen with those special permissions. So, and he did by Bitcoin. It's not really common, but we have those cases.
Mm-hmm. And did he use a hardware wallet or just on his phone, or how did he then move to Chile with the Bitcoin?
The broker was sent to. He didn't use a wallet because he was interested in Bitcoin not for hodling, just for using this. So what we do is to the local broker in Argentina. He gave the wallet or the address, the Bitcoin address of the exchange in Chile. So the Bitcoin went from the local broker in Argentina directly to the exchange in Chile. He never used a local wallet in the cell phone, something like that. It was not really needed. And in fact, I told him to use stablecoins because it was going to be easier for him. But unlucky for him, he couldn't, because I know two exchanges in Chile. They don't have as much as Argentina, and those exchanges in Chile didn't have stablecoins. I was surprised a bit of that, because in Argentina most of the exchanges have Bitcoin of everyone, but also have some stablecoins. Some have DAI, also some USDT, Tether, but all of them have one stablecoin at least. But in Chile, most exchanges don't have stablecoin, so he had to buy Bitcoin and sell it in the same day.
Okay, but and why would you prefer to use a stablecoin?
Well, because of the volatility, because it was in the middle of the bull run, and I'm very Bitcoiner, but in this case, a stablecoin would be better for him because he was not interested in keeping the money. The risk was very few. It doesn't have the normal traditional stablecoin risk because all stablecoin has a risk. Different USDT ham, DAI SAM, the smart contract of the bank of where the money is there, if the money is still there, but for having the stablecoin a day, I believe it will be better to use stablecoin and the volatility won't be there.
So just to use it for the transfer, and he was not interested in holding it longer. Yeah.
Exactly.
So since you're in Bitcoin for a long time and also the founder of Bitcoin Argentina, I guess you know a lot of people who have started using Bitcoin. Did you see a rise in 2020 and from then on to now because of the pandemic?
Yes, I see a rise, but I don't believe that it's about the pandemic. Maybe the bull runs always make the community bigger. There are many people get to Bitcoin because of the bull runs and the price and everything. But after they know how to work with Bitcoin, how to use it, they stay when the price crashes. And they stay and use Bitcoin. That happens a lot. I know a lot of people that knew Bitcoin because of that, and then they started using Bitcoin to send money abroad. So sometimes the speculation and the bull runs help to make Bitcoin more popular in other use cases that are important to Argentina. But still difficult for some people. But I believe it's getting really good. I don't remember a situation, maybe in the 2017 bull run, that you had so many more people a day. For example, we have a forum, and in the forum we have 70,000 people now, and in the last year it was like 30% bigger. So it's a forum with people from like 7 years ago, and in the last year it was like, I don't say half the people is from half a year last year, but we are near there.
Mm-hmm. And so here in Europe, and I think also in the US, many people say we don't need Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just a tool for speculation, and it should be banned because of its environmental bad impact, as they think. As a person living in Argentina, what is your answer to those critics?
I understand where the critics are coming from there, but I would say come here and live. Try to live here, and you will see that Bitcoin helps you a lot. Of course, some people say, okay, if you are in the extreme poverty, Bitcoin doesn't help you. Okay, it may be true, because in Argentina it's easier to buy dollars than buy Bitcoins illegally. But there are many people also that's traveling outside of Argentina that trying to live. You have a lot of immigration here now because of the situation, and that Bitcoin helps a lot from them. And sometimes they have a friend or someone that will help them to how to use Bitcoin in this way, special way, to send them their money abroad. And well, I believe it's happening. It's easy for someone from abroad to say, okay, that's not really needed. Maybe you don't need it, but for the people, I don't understand my life without Bitcoin. And I don't say in a saving thing or holding thing. I say in the living in other places and to manage money. Okay, because in Argentina you can use really PayPal even. PayPal is blocked for doing some things, and it's very difficult. So Bitcoin helps a lot there, and I don't know what more to say about people living in Europe more than try to do the transfer, and that's it. You can't.
And do you have maybe other examples of people who, with the help of Bitcoin, achieved something that they have never could have done without it?
From an investment point of view, a lot, of course, because in this year I see a lot of people that, they're saving Bitcoin, and now, people that bought their first car using Bitcoin, people that started to live in some other places or get their first house using Bitcoin. I have many of those examples in Argentina from people in the local community, Bitcoin community. There are Bitcoiners, but Bitcoiners are also regular people, okay? But there are many of those examples. And from people that freelancers and those, I also have too many examples. Not only software developers, but people that do graphic designs and have their money in Bitcoin. Or many of them not only have the money in Bitcoin, but they have the money in a bank account from abroad. And there are many people using N26, Revolut, and those kind of digital banks, and even in Argentina. And without Bitcoin, they will have no other way to get the money they receive there. The money they receive in a bank account in Europe, you use Bitcoin to get the money there, here in Argentina. Maybe they do the savings there in Europe, but from time to time they need some of that money to come to Argentina. So they buy Bitcoin there, they sell it here, and in that way they get pesos here to spend daily. Yeah, and from those examples I have a lot. We have ATMs here, Bitcoin ATMs, and we see a lot of people doing that from using the ATMs for that also. They are not in the whole country, maybe in the capital city and a few other cities, with the most populous city, of course, the ATMs. But in the ATMs, the amounts are not really big. There's small amounts. There are mostly people that receive money from abroad, some things, but not really big money. But they use it. Maybe they don't support lighting still, but they have some fees, and that fees are getting to be a problem for the ATMs. I see this situation, but I hope it gets better when most people are using Lightning networks, things like that. In Argentina, we have a lot of a very bigger community that use Lightning network. We have a wallet that is called Moon, that is the main used wallet here in Argentina. And some people started using Bitfinex because Bitfinex supports Lightning networks. Crazy, but in many years ago, Bitfinex were changed where you went there to use bigger amounts, and now it's getting exchange that use small amounts because they support Lightning network. We hope to Kraken and Paxful that they say they're going to support Lightning network. That will change a lot because the local cuevas, what they have is an exchange account. Okay, they have an exchange account, and what they do is when you buy Bitcoin with them, they usually buy them in Kraken and give it to you. What they do is that the cuevas, these informal places, and when these places support Lightning network, it's going to get better because these days these local cuevas say no, I will trade with you, but only amounts bigger than this than something. So if you go to a cueva with a bigger small amount, they say no, I will not trade Bitcoin with you for very small amounts. So this is getting a problem here, and I hope to Paxful and Kraken to support Lightning network. This may change because I see a lot of people using, for example, Moon, that is the main wallet here in the community. But when they go to a cueva, they say no, Lightning network now. I want to use Bitcoin, and they can't because the amount is too small. But I hope that change all happens with Ethereum, with stable coins. In fact, many people are starting. Binance is used a lot, and many people is getting to get an account in Binance, so they can trade with the cuevas and everything inside Binance using Binance Smart Chain. That's happening a lot also. Most people that trade Bitcoin have a Binance account to don't have fees, and they trade Bitcoin from pesos using the Binance account, and that happens a lot. I believe Binance is not really popular in the United States or maybe in Europe like other exchanges, but in Argentina it's getting really popular.
Interesting. But maybe actually one could say that Bitcoin in Argentina is not so much, I mean, it's of course also a store of value, and if you can hold it, then you in the long run can profit of it. But basically it's used as a means of exchange, like a payment railway. So it enables you to do financial transactions that you could otherwise not do. That's the main focus, I think, as I understand from what you're saying.
No, to tell you the truth, not the main focus. O sea, it's still most people that buy Bitcoin is still for the invest, for hodling or for speculation. This is still the main use, okay? But I believe the second use is this, and it's more popular than most other countries in Argentina. O sea, the using Bitcoin for jumping capital control for its censorship resistance is more popular in Argentina than that's in most other countries, I believe. In most other countries, it's just a hodling thing or investing thing. In Argentina, it's still an investment thing, but you have a full range of other cases where people are using Bitcoin to send money abroad for traveling and those kind of things. That in Europe, I know you don't really need that. Okay, there's no issue there. You can travel, you can have the money in your bank account. It's not an issue. You don't have any special risk for that. But for Argentina, that's an issue. And well, Bitcoin helps there, and it's happening for many years. And it's not something new. It's not something also that all people is doing. It's not like saying like that, but more and more people are doing it. More technology savvy people are using it. So for developers, freelancers, and most people find a way. They will find a way to use it, because a 40% cut when you receive money from abroad, of course, nobody wants that. So they try to do everything to that. And when the economic you get better numbers by using Bitcoin, well, you will use Bitcoin, okay, or stablecoins, okay. It's not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an example, but that's a use case that you don't see in Chile, you don't see in Europe, you don't see in the States, and I believe in Africa, like you said, I believe it's also there. But Latin America is not also so popular. Argentina, maybe, and Venezuela, of course. There are the two examples where those things happen, and the rest of the Latin America is more or less okay in those kind of things.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe, you posted something on Twitter that banks will now need to report who bought Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The central bank asked all financial entities to do so.
Yes.
Do you fear much more regulation?
We don't really know what happened with that. It's strange. I leaked that information. Someone that works for a bank sent me, a Bitcoiner that works for a bank sent me that email. That email was from the bank association, and it was sent to them by the central bank. And it's crazy, because that was just an email. It was not a formal way of asking to the banks, okay? It's like the central bank say this, do this, and complete this sheet, put in the names and everything, but there was no law or resolution or something that says you have to do that. So it's I believe sometimes things in Argentina are managed that way, that the central bank just say the banks do this in an informal way, and they do it because it's the central bank, but there was no law saying you have to do this. But yes, it's happening. We don't really know Why we believe that it was done in this informal way because it was just to do some stats and see more or less how the situation is. What I believe the central bank wants to know is the local bank accounts of the local exchanges. I believe that is my view, that what the local central bank is wanting to know is see the movements of the bank accounts of the local exchanges and not mainly the people, because also the bank doesn't know if someone is a Bitcoin or no is in Bitcoin. The bank, what they see is the money from the bank accounts going or in and out, but they don't know if there's Bitcoin related to that. What the bank knows is if it is giving a bank account to a company that is trading Bitcoin, like a local Coinbase. Of course, the banks know that, and I believe what the central bank is wanting to know is give me those accounts, and I want to see the in and outs of those accounts. For what? We don't know. Some people is always saying in Argentina is always saying, okay, it's maybe a future tax or a future block, or they wanted to see how big it is to block it if it is too big, or try to block it, of course. But I believe if the central bank does that, it's a really bad situation for the central bank, because even with the central bank not doing nothing about this, we still have a lot of people using peer-to-peer trades because they are afraid of what the central bank could do. Okay, so most of the trades in these days are peer-to-peer, and not only peer-to-peer in cash. I say peer-to-peer in bank using platforms like Binance, Local Bitcoins, or Paxful that allow you peer-to-peer trades. And the bank doesn't know what's happening there. They see in and outs, but they doesn't know that's Bitcoin. So if the central banks try to block the more formal, regulated local exchanges, the local Bitcoin bases, what they're going to do is that the few people that are using them, they're going to go to peer-to-peer using Binance, and that's it. The thing is we're going to keep working, but the central bank will know still less than now what's happening.
Exactly, because people will just move outside and go to peer-to-peer exchanges. Yeah, so banning Bitcoin is not an option actually for the central banks. So Franco, we're coming to an end soon. And I would like to ask you, what do you think, what do most people, or maybe the mainstream media, overlook when they talk or think about Bitcoin?
I believe what is mostly overlooked is the censorship resistance. These all cases and useful cases, I'm talking about someone moving to Chile and people receiving money from abroad without a 40% cut. Those whole things are the censorship resistance, are not most media is talking about the price. And let's be clear, the price is the most important thing in Bitcoin, because most people is investing and saving money using Bitcoin and saving, and it's totally really, I have my savings in Bitcoin also. I use Bitcoin for that, and it's the main use case. But the other use case, the censorship resistance, is also too important. We need that. Without that, having the other, but without the censorship resistance, it will make it impossible for people in Argentina to use Bitcoin for saving Bitcoin. Okay, because saving in Bitcoin will be too difficult if you can't receive money from money. So I believe the main media is not talking about that. I don't know if it's better or not, but I believe it would be better if they talk about that, because it will show these other things to the people, that most people that doesn't know Bitcoin believe it's just the price and everything. And what I wanted to be clear is it doesn't matter the price for this. For this use case, Bitcoin could be $1 and you still could do it where I was talking about sending money abroad and everything. So Bitcoin, in fact, most cryptocurrencies work like this, but of course Bitcoin is the most liquid and where you have exchanges in most countries. but the prices doesn't really matter. We can use it for that doesn't matter. $1, $100, $1 million. We can use to jump happy capital controls. We still have the debate about if capital controls are okay or not. But when you see that you have a 40% cut, and this doesn't even include the taxes of everything, because people has the 40% cut, but they still have to pay all the taxes for the earnings and everything. It's not that it's just the 40%. It's 40%, and you have a 50% maybe in taxes from other things. But so it's really crazy. There's no way. In some businesses in Argentina, you don't have a way to work by doing everything legally. I think there's no way of doing it legally, because if you pay everything by the book, there's no way of working. Okay, some things that some works, there's no way of doing them legally. You have to do something that is not totally legal, because you have no way.
So you're in Bitcoin now since 10 years, actually. What do you have any predictions? What will happen in the next 5 years?
Yes, wow, with 10 years, I didn't thought about that. But yes, I believe in June it's going to be 10 years. I should do a part of something. But what I see, I'm always surprised. It always surprises me. When I got into Bitcoin, I never thought that's going to be the popular thing we have now. Maybe. Are we popular now? I don't really know, but I believe it's more or less popular now, Bitcoin. So I never thought it going to be 1,000. I never thought it going to be maybe 100, yes, but 1,000, 10,000. These numbers sound crazy. Of course, if I knew that, I would plan my life in a different way in those years. But of course, it's easy to say now with all things that is in the past. Okay, but what I see is I like it to do everything without the big media. I don't like with the bull runs we have. I don't like with everything one is talking about Bitcoin. I don't see that as a good thing. Maybe there's no other way, okay? Because when something Bitcoin has a scarcity, because it's used by more people, the price is going to get bigger because there's more people using it, and that's fine. But I would love it to be more gradually, okay? But you can manage people. If people buy because the price is going up, they do it, and okay. Some people will get the correction somewhere, and some people are going to lose money for a few times, for a few years maybe. And a lot of people I know got into Bitcoin in a bull run. Okay, they save it and they waited 2 years, 3 years. Okay, now it's going okay. They got break even, and that's fine for them now. I don't know. What I see is that I don't really believe we going to have these crazy bull runs forever. I believe that somewhere the situation will be more stable, but I don't know when we're going to have that. Maybe one bull run more. I don't know where, but I would love to have that, because for people in the community it's a lot of stress. The amounts of messages I have from people wanting to help about Bitcoin, and it's all concentrated in a few months where it's the bull run, and it's a lot of stress for the companies, for the people in here to doing education and think about Bitcoin, because it's too crazy. We will see. I hope this gets stable one of these days.
Yeah, I hope so too. We'll see when this will happen. Franco, please tell our listeners where they can find and follow you and your work.
The best way is Twitter, I believe. You can contact me in Twitter or follow me in Twitter. It's @FranAmati. @FranAmati is my handle there. And you can follow me there, and I tweet mainly in English sometimes. My English is not good when talking, but when writing is okay. and sometimes in Spanish, so both languages. And follow me there. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Anything we didn't say that you want to tell our listeners to close this interview?
No, maybe try to see, for people from Europe, of course, try to imagine yourself in a place where you are in a country that has a lot of inflation, that it doesn't allow you to put the money abroad or receive money from abroad. So you are fixed in something that is really close, and you have inflation, and the government wants you to have pesos, and they try to block every other way for you to convert those pesos to other things that are not goods or other saving things. They try to block everything, because the truth is that the government prefers the inflation, because they print money to spend that money and to pay with that money. So the inflation is not going to, it's going to steal. And imagine yourself in that situation, and you will see that how Bitcoin could really help in many of those cases.
Yes, and how it's the only tool that we have, because it's the only currency that's so uncensorable. There is no other than that. So, and therefore Bitcoin is freedom. That's what most people don't understand, I think, in this sentence. Bitcoin is freedom. It's not about getting rich. It's about being able to do stuff, like to open the world for you, you know. That's basically as I see it.
Yes, and most people in first world countries doesn't imagine. They say if you do everything legally, you don't really need Bitcoin. Okay, and they say those phrases, but in Argentina, if you do everything legally, you are going to get wrecked by the government with the money, because it's going to be having pesos and with 50% inflation. If you do everything legal in Argentina, you have your saving in Argentinian pesos. In 2 years, you will get nothing, okay? So you have to find another way. Even if it's illegal, you have to convert those pesos to something for you to don't get wrecked. So you will find a way, and you will do things, sometimes the things the government will say they're legal, but there's no other way. And you have to understand people, from people abroad, in first world country, you have to understand that the people doesn't have, you have these governments, and it's going to happen, and you can't save those pesos. You have to do something with the pesos.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Franco, for this great interview. It was very interesting. I learned a lot, and I wish you a good day.
Well, thanks, Anita. It was a pleasure being here. So good luck, and bye to anyone there.
Thanks so much for joining the Anita Posch Show today to learn more about Bitcoin. You can find the show notes for this conversation on anita.link/show. If you want to get the best stories in Bitcoin from my point of view in your mailbox, go to anita.link/weekly and subscribe. And if you have a question or just want to send me some feedback, drop me a line at hello@anitaposch.com. See you next week when it's time for the Anita Posch Show. Music, start with yes, delicate beats. Content, idea and production, Anita Posch.